Week 7 BU 631 readings, Project Management for Business Professionals. In this unit, you will explore key aspects of project management, including methodologies, leadership, closure processes, and the role of AI in project management. You will evaluate various project management frameworks, understand core knowledge areas across different project phases, and apply skills in time, cost, quality, risk, and procurement management. This unit also focuses on effective project leadership, helping you develop strategies for managing high-performing and remote teams. Additionally, you will examine the importance of project closure and how it contributes to overall project success. Finally, you will explore how AI is transforming project management, enhancing efficiency and decision-making. By the end of this unit, you will be equipped with the knowledge and tools to apply best practices in leadership, execution, and innovation. Here's a detailed summary of the PDF Hybrid Project Management, Chapter 13, Leadership in a Hybrid Environment. Overview. This chapter explores the unique leadership challenges and opportunities that arise in hybrid project management environments. It emphasizes that leaders must balance elements of both predictive, traditional, and adaptive, agile approaches while guiding teams through complexity, uncertainty, and rapid change. Hybrid leadership characteristics. Adaptive and flexible leadership. Leaders must navigate between structured planning and agile responsiveness. Hybrid projects often involve shifting requirements, so leaders need to be adaptable without losing focus on long-term goals. Vision and direction. Even with uncertainty, leaders must clearly articulate the project vision and ensure alignment across diverse teams. Collaboration focus. Hybrid environments require high levels of collaboration across functional areas, requiring leaders to break silos and encourage knowledge sharing. Leadership skills required. Emotional intelligence, essential for managing diverse teams, conflict resolution, and building trust in both virtual and in-person contexts. Communication skills. Leaders must tailor their communication to stakeholders at different levels and ensure transparency to reduce ambiguity. Decision-making under uncertainty. Hybrid projects often face incomplete information. Leaders need to make calculated decisions quickly. Technical understanding. While not necessarily experts, leaders should understand both agile and predictive methodologies to integrate them effectively. Leading hybrid teams. Motivating teams. Leaders must foster engagement by balancing autonomy, agile practices, with accountability, predictive practices. Cultural sensitivity. Hybrid projects often involve geographically distributed teams, so leaders should be sensitive to cultural differences in communication, decision-making, and conflict resolution. Trust and empowerment. Leaders succeed by empowering teams, allowing them to self-organize while providing clear frameworks for accountability. Leadership in stakeholder management. Balancing competing interests. Leaders often need to mediate between stakeholders preferring rigid structures and those advocating for flexibility. Engagement strategies. Hybrid leaders must design inclusive strategies to keep all stakeholders, executives, clients, and team members engaged and informed. Managing expectations. By setting realistic milestones and regularly updating stakeholders, leaders reduce resistance and build trust. Ethical and sustainable leadership. Ethical responsibility. Leaders are expected to promote fairness, transparency, and inclusivity in decision-making and resource allocation. Sustainability. Incorporating social, environmental, and governance considerations into hybrid project leadership is increasingly important. Challenges and solutions. Resistance to change. Some teams may struggle to adopt hybrid methods. Leaders must provide training and demonstrate benefits to overcome resistance. Coordination complexity. With multiple methodologies running concurrently, leaders must establish clear communication channels and integrated governance frameworks. Performance measurement. Leaders face difficulty in evaluating hybrid projects since metrics vary. They should establish blended KPIs that capture both agile value delivery and predictive milestone achievement. Conclusion. Effective leadership in hybrid project environments requires flexibility, strong interpersonal skills, stakeholder engagement, and ethical responsibility. Leaders who can bridge predictive structure with agile adaptability enable teams to succeed in complex, fast-changing environments. Here's a detailed summary of the PDF Leading the Team, Chapter 17 from Hybrid Project Management. Overview. This chapter emphasizes the crucial role of leadership in hybrid project management. It explains that leading a project team goes beyond simply assigning tasks. It requires motivating, coaching, and guiding people to achieve goals in environments that blend predictive, traditional, and adaptive, agile approaches. Core leadership responsibilities. Setting direction and vision. A leader must establish a clear vision and ensure all team members understand project goals, priorities, and how their roles contribute. Hybrid projects often involve shifting priorities, so strong communication of the vision ensures alignment. Building trust and collaboration. Trust is foundational to team performance. Leaders foster collaboration by being transparent, supporting team input, and resolving conflicts fairly. Hybrid projects demand high collaboration because teams may be distributed across locations, methods, or specialties. Balancing predictive and adaptive needs. Leaders must balance traditional scheduling, milestones, and budgets with adaptive practices like flexibility, iteration, and experimentation. This requires an understanding of both methodologies and knowing when to apply which. Leadership skills in hybrid environments. Communication, frequent, clear, and tailored to audiences, stakeholders, executives, technical staff, etc. Motivation, encouraging team members through recognition, empowerment, and opportunities to contribute meaningfully. Decision-making, leaders should be decisive while considering diverse input, especially when hybrid teams have different perspectives. Conflict resolution, since hybrid projects involve diverse teams, disagreements are common. Leaders must resolve issues constructively. Role of emotional intelligence. The chapter stresses that successful leaders in hybrid projects display emotional intelligence, EQ. Self-awareness, recognizing personal strengths and biases. Empathy, understanding team challenges. Social skills, building relationships across diverse groups. High EQ helps leaders manage stress, handle setbacks, and maintain morale. Team empowerment. Leaders are not micromanagers. Instead, they enable self-organizing teams, especially in adaptive parts of the project. Providing autonomy boosts innovation and accountability. Empowered teams also improve agility, allowing the project to pivot quickly when risks or opportunities arise. Monitoring performance. Leaders must regularly track progress against both predictive milestones and adaptive sprint outcomes. Use tools like dashboards, KPIs, and retrospectives to monitor and adjust. Provide constructive feedback without discouraging initiative. Challenges in leading hybrid teams. Different work cultures, agile versus traditional, can clash. Remote or cross-functional teams may struggle with communication. Leaders must adapt their style, sometimes directive, other times coaching or facilitative. Conclusion. The chapter concludes that leadership in hybrid projects is about flexibility, people skills, and balancing methods. Leaders must inspire their teams, foster collaboration, and ensure adaptability while still meeting deadlines and budgets. Effective leadership transforms hybrid projects into opportunities for innovation, resilience, and high performance. Here's a detailed summary of the uploaded PDF, Methods of IT Project Management, 4th edition, Chapter 13, Project Closure. Overview of Chapter 13. This chapter emphasizes the importance of formally closing out projects in order to ensure accountability, capture lessons learned, and release resources. Project closure is not simply the end of a project. It is a structured process that confirms whether objectives were met, stakeholders are satisfied, and knowledge is documented for future efforts. Key elements of project closure. Purpose of project closure. Provides formal recognition that the project is finished. Ensures deliverables have been accepted by the client or stakeholders. Helps evaluate performance against original goals, scope, schedule, and budget. Captures best practices and lessons learned. Releases resources, people, money, and equipment for other initiatives. Steps in project closure. The chapter describes closure as a multi-step process. Administrative closure, final documentation, sign-offs, and archiving records. Contract closure, ensuring all vendor or third-party agreements are completed and settled. Financial closure, reconciling budgets, invoices, and financial records. Performance reporting, summarizing how well the project performed against metrics. Knowledge capture, conducting lessons learned meetings to record insights. Evaluating project success. Closure includes assessment of whether the project delivered the expected scope and quality, if the project met time and cost baselines, the degree of stakeholder satisfaction, long-term business value, strategic alignment, ROI, customer impact, knowledge management, and lessons learned. A major function of closure is ensuring organizational learning. Conduct post-project reviews, often called postmortems or retrospectives, where teams identify what worked well, what failed, and how processes could improve. Lessons learned should be stored in a knowledge repository for use in future projects. Stakeholder involvement. Stakeholder acceptance is critical. Deliverables are validated and signed off by clients or project sponsors. Closure provides a chance to communicate final outcomes, including successes, challenges, and recommendations. Common challenges in closure. Teams sometimes skip closure because they are eager to move to new projects. Resistance to documenting lessons learned. Lack of stakeholder participation in evaluations. Poor archiving of records, which limits future learning. Outputs of closure. Typical deliverables produced in closure include final project report, client acceptance documentation, lessons learned document, updated organizational process assets, templates, guidelines, released resources and contracts. Conclusion. The chapter emphasizes that formal closure is just as important as initiation and execution. It validates that objectives were met, enhances organizational maturity, and prevents mistakes from being repeated. Closure provides the foundation for continuous improvement and better project outcomes in the future. Here's a detailed summary of hybrid project management, Chapter 22, Corrective Actions and Closure. Preventive and corrective actions. The chapter begins by explaining the importance of responding to both potential and actual problems in projects. Issues may come from reports, risk events, or unforeseen challenges. To address these, project managers must use both preventive actions to keep performance on track and corrective actions to realign performance with expectations. A 4-step process is outlined. Analyze the problem. Use root cause analysis to find the source of the issue, e.g., delays, cost overruns. Compare potential responses. Identify possible solutions, but recognize that not all variances require action. Select the best response. Gain stakeholder or sponsor approval when actions require resources or funds. Implement and review. Apply the response, then evaluate its effectiveness. Common causes and responses to performance issues. Scope and quality issues, often caused by unclear requirements or scope creep. Solutions include defining clear acceptance criteria, using validation and verification, tracking defects, reprioritizing deliverables, e.g., Moscow method or descoping non-essential items. Schedule issues may stem from unrealistic estimates or lack of resources. Responses include crashing, adding resources, fast-tracking, parallel work, or adjusting scope. Budget issues, often linked to scope changes, delays, material costs, or resource inefficiencies. Solutions include reassessing materials, optimizing staffing, reviewing expenditures, and descoping. Rebaselining. When corrective actions are insufficient, a project may need to rebaseline. This means resetting scope, cost, or scheduled baselines due to significant changes. Rebaselining is appropriate when scope or requirements change, resources or budget shift. Variances are too severe for existing baselines to remain meaningful. All prior baseline data should be preserved for documentation and historical analysis. Project closure. Closure is essential to formally end a project and includes transition, handing over deliverables to clients or operations, including training and documentation. Administrative closure, finalizing physical assets, organizing documentation, and completing contractual obligations with vendors. Acknowledgement, recognizing the team's contributions through group or individual appreciation. Evaluating success, reviewing whether project objectives, budget, and timelines were met, as well as assessing stakeholder and team satisfaction. Closeout reports, creating 2 reports. Final project report, a performance summary covering scope, quality, schedule, costs, risks, and outcomes. Final lessons learned report captures successes, failures, and insights from retrospectives to improve future projects. Key takeaways. Corrective actions ensure performance alignment, while preventive actions avoid potential problems. Scope, schedule, and cost issues require different strategies, but all rely on strong analysis and stakeholder alignment. Rebaselining should only be done when absolutely necessary, with careful documentation. Closure is more than just ending a project. It involves smooth transition, administrative finalization, team recognition, and formal evaluation. Final reports, project performance, and lessons learned provide value for both historical records and future project improvements.